All right. I am back with some thoughts. I am excited to get back on video because I just feel comfortable sharing, talking. Um, that's always kind of been my happy space, if you will. So as you can see, got a haircut, had to have a fresh look. It is spring, technically spring here in the mid Atlantic, so it may not feel like it in many cases because sometimes it's still cold and then it's hot and then it's raining and cold and but either way I just really it's time for a new. But I wanted to delve into the framework, the grounding framework that I talked about in an article I posted yesterday, or if you're viewing this later, it was sometime in March of 2026. And I'm looking at my visual on my other screen here, but I really wanted to kind of delve into why this came to be and how it came to be. So, taking a step back, I have really been thinking a lot about my healing journey and just getting to know myself on a deeper level through the entrepreneurial lens, really. And it's been going on 4 years, and it's never been a dull moment. There are so many times where I'm like, I don't regret this journey, but there's so many things where I'm like, wow, there really is no stability here unless you create the stability. And I've talked about that in many posts on LinkedIn and on Substack. But I think what I'm realizing is this isn't just professional, it's personal. And there are people in our lives who might have close proximity to us who just seek to wreak havoc on your being. And depending on where that person is, let's say in a visual of a dartboard, depending on where that person is close to your bullseye, it impacts you more. And then the logic comes in of like, why is this person doing X? The feelings come in. I'm feeling upset, and those two places are where I lived for a very long time. But it wasn't until I was doing a lot of somatic healing, a lot of breath work. Um, I'm now starting to get into qigong, really understanding my center and my roots and just grounding myself. I was using the term grounding for so long, and I think I was trying to fake it until I make it for a little bit, but now I'm really understanding what that means. And so the whole analogy of the tree and the roots, that was something that solidified everything for me in what I'm going through personally and professionally, to be quite frank. And a lot of it really is an advanced concept, but well, let me take that back. I think it's a simplistic concept, but it's advanced and it requires wisdom and discernment for you to truly apply this. And it takes practice. And so, what I've realized with certain people in my life is I cannot take on their stress, their issues, their trauma, their whatever, fill in the blank, right? Because it's when you absorb their energy, their negativity, their issues, their guilting, their manipulation, whatever it is, then it gets you off kilter. And what I have found is as I've explored energy, access, regulation, all of this comes together and it makes sense. And so, looking at this framework here, it's a 5-step framework. And I think the first thing is to really notice. And so, I believe, the first thing that we all can probably truly say is, I'm angry. This is frustrating. And while I think it's good to name those emotions, we have to still dig deeper and we have to learn our body. We have to understand, okay, so I feel angry, but where am I feeling this in my body? And so that's been my first step to be like, okay, well, I don't feel safe in my body. So why don't I feel safe in my body? is when you have to notice that, dig a little bit deeper, and then you separate. And so when you separate, this is the energy around me, not the energy from within. And again, that takes a lot of practice, a lot of discernment, a lot of, for me personally, if I'm feeling like the energy around me is negative or if someone's uncomfortable, my programming has taught me to then take care of their emotions. Oh, well, let me make sure everything is good. Let me make sure everybody's comfortable. Let me check in. But now I'm taking a step back and I'm realizing like this has nothing to do with me. I don't need to take in this person's energy, this person's concern, this person's anxiety, because at the end of the day, that's not mine. And then I need to check in with myself because two things could be happening. One, really more speaking from myself and my own experience, then I start absorbing that. And then I start getting stressed and then I start getting anxious when really it's like that's that person's stuff. How am I feeling within? So how do I ground myself in that? And then that gets us to step 3, which is to return to center. We take for granted our breath. The average person doesn't stop and think about, wow, when is the next time I'm going to be able to breathe, right? And I think if you are big into meditation, big into breath work, you understand the power of the breath. If we can slow our nervous system down, get out of the fight, flight, or freeze, take deep breaths, not shallow breaths, because the shallow breaths are up here. That's when the panic attacks come. That's when you say you can't breathe. That's when you feel like you're having a heart attack. That's stress. And that takes so much energy from our bodies. But when we can breathe deeply into our belly, let our belly extend and breathe, you know, up into the crown of our head. I mean, that just lets our brain and body know, okay, it's time to, I'm safe. I'm not running away from a lion. I'm not running away from a scary bear because I poked him in the, cave during hibernation time. Maybe it's simply just this person's yelling at me and I'm stressed. So now my breathing is shallow. Well, we don't need to take on that person's stress, right? So having that body awareness is really key. And then the fourth step is to root. So this is huge for me, and this is what really sparked this piece. So yesterday I was walking my dog. I have a German Shepherd in the park, and this park is huge. There's so many different trails. There's so many different paths. It actually leads into another park that's massive in this area. I have been doing this for probably about 4 years with my dog. When the weather is really nice, I enjoy doing this. And what I do is I don't listen to anything. I try to put the phone away and I just follow the energy and where this is going. But also, I let my dog lead me because I know that she has sharp senses. And if she doesn't want to go down somewhere, maybe she's telling me something that I need to tune into. And yesterday we went down a different trail. We haven't been down this trail in a while. And I was just really in awe with, first of all, how beautiful the weather was, how nice the breeze felt on my skin, and just seeing all of these roots on the ground and the trees and starting to see the leaves bud in the spring. And I'm just like, wow, 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 wow. These trees have been through what we've been through in the mid-Atlantic: snow, wind, tornado, super hot weather, super freezing cold weather in January, and these things are just still standing. So the roots go so deep. And I did a qigong meditation yesterday, and it really opened up my mind to be like, you know what? I'm going to root my feet, and we do this in meditation. I'm going to root my feet on the floor, and I'm going to, whatever pain, stress, anxiety, whatever it is I'm feeling, I am going to send that energy all the way down to my feet. And I'm going to have this visual of roots just entering Mother Earth, grounding me, and all of that energy is going below. And as we know, in gardening, the soil is rich. The soil helps, nurture and sprout these beautiful plants or vegetables or fruits or whatever it is we're growing. Well, let's take all of that negative energy and put it all the way down into Mother Earth and let that come back up in positivity. However it might be, right? And I know that sounds very nebulous and maybe it sounds a little crazy. I don't believe that. I really am paying attention to nature and the systems and the structure and the timing. And that's where I want to live. I want to be more in tune with my body, with nature, with frameworks and systems that stand the test of time. And that last part is you choose. So you respond from that place of readiness. So by the time you're doing all of that, you are out of that fight, flight, or freeze. You are recognizing the situation for what it is, and you are seeing the person, the environment, whatever it is, and say, that's not my shit. That's somebody else's. It could be the most hurtful thing that was said to you, but it's still important to have that discernment, to have that moment. Another thing that I'm realizing in my journey is I was very much programmed to respond in a way that was combative or aggressive. Now, this was more so in my 20s and teens, but the reason being is because if you are not respected, if your voice isn't valued, if you're told that what you have to say is not important, if you are told everything should be kept a secret, well, of course you're going to yell. You're going to be dysregulated. And that's really what I'm reflecting on. That's really where my life was. And so now entering this season of reflection, introspection, discernment, regulation, access, energy, I'm all about trying to stay cool, calm, and collected because at the end of the day, you exert so much energy when you are raising your voice, when you are losing your cool. And that shaves years off of your life. And I'm not about that. I'm trying to live my life in peace. I don't want urgency. I don't want a funnel. I don't want someone trying to upsell me. I want to do what feels right for me and do what feels right for my body. And that is impacting everybody in this house that I live with. And that's important to me. So when I go back to this framework, you don't need a calmer environment, you need stronger roots. Now, don't get me wrong, a calm environment helps, but that's just not the reality of life 24/7, unless you live in a bubble. But I just really wanted to share the inspiration behind this and also realizing that we create our own stability. We have to be our stability within our bodies, within our mind, within our sphere, our environment. And so when we do that, nothing can break you, nothing can shake you. Doesn't mean you're not going to have a bad day. Like, I'm not sitting here trying to spew positive, toxic positivity. No, absolutely not. All I'm saying is that we as a society have to find a way to step outside of taking on other people's stress and chaos and learn to regulate ourselves in a way that makes us feel and know that we are grounded no matter what. So, with that being said, I hope this resonated. I hope something connected with you. I would love to see comments how, this impacted you. And as I've said before, I post when things come up. I have no script. I have no timeline. I have no Thursday, I'm going to talk about this. I've been there before. It's inauthentic. I understand we want to plan, we want to schedule things out, but I'm really in a season of my life of just showing up as that person I am and sharing what I've learned. And hopefully that impacts someone in a positive way. So stay tuned and I'll see you when I see you.